And welcome to another N.E.S.T reading session. Today we are going to be reading a book called Do You Wonder About Rain, Snow, Sleet and Hail? And it looks like this. Do you wonder about rain, snow, sleet and hail? I chose this book because it's different to the ones that I've been reading with you recently. So it's not really a story book. It's more like a bit of a kind of like some facts that's been made into a bit of a story. So you'll be able to actually learn about rain, snow, sleet and hail in a fun way, which I thought is really cool. Bit of a change really. So it's nice just to mix things up instead of having, animal stories and things like that. This is a nice change. So I'll just do what I usually do, and I'll read through a couple of pages and I'll stop, and then I will go through any difficult words that I picked up, any words or phrases that I think you might struggle with. And then at the end, I have a couple of questions just to ask, just to make sure that you've actually understood the book and what's being talked about. The book, I think you can. I think it'll be sent out to a lot of you, and if you don't. If this isn't the case for you, I'll put a link in the description of this video so it's a link that sends you to a Google Drive that takes you to all of the books that me and Tess have used this year, which should be really helpful for you, just in case you want to look back through all videos and things like that. Just a quick one as well. We have another person who will be doing these videos. She's called Catherine, and I think she should be doing the video next week. So just to remind you, just to let you know that it's not just going to be me and Tess anymore. It'll be me, Tess, and Catherine, which should be really nice. So yeah, let's get started on this book. Do you wonder about rain, snow, sleet and hail? Okay, and this is the first page here. We've got a man holding an umbrella. Hi, I am Professor Moisture, and I will be telling you about water. You can call it rain, you can call it snow, you can call it sleet, you can call it hail, but it's water all the same. Did you ever wonder how old water is or where it comes from? The answers may surprise you. The next time you see a pond or even a glass of water, think about how old that water might be. Do you really want to know? I thought you did. So, this first page. Hi, I am Professor Moisture. Right, so they've got a gap in between the S and the T, and that is because they're trying to kind of make a little pun, they're trying to make a little joke. So it's basically moisture. So if you put them two together, it's moisture. And that's why they are calling this person that, because it's related to water. So the word there is moisture. So I'll just explain what that is. So it's water that's in a very small quantity as a vapour or a gas. Within us, it's kind of like condensed onto a surface. So let's say you have water, because water can be gas, liquid or solid, and you might not think of it that way because you might just think of like a glass of water being a liquid, but water can actually be a gas and a solid as well. So an ice cube, that's solid water, and if you think of steam when it comes off the kettle, that's also water. And the steam that comes off the kettle is a gas. It's a vapor. So moisture is when the steam or the vapor or the gas condenses onto a solid surface and it becomes a liquid. I'm trying to think of an example. So sometimes when the gas, the vapor, cools down, it becomes like a liquid on top of a surface, and that is the moisture. And the reason that they're making reference to this is because it's to do with water, and this whole book is to do with water. I hope that makes a bit more sense. But as I use the word condensed, and we'll be coming to that later on in the book as well, which will probably help you make a bit more sense about moisture. Sorry, I've rambled a bit there. I hope it makes a little bit more sense. But like I say, we'll come back to condensation in a little bit. I didn't find any difficult words on the next page, so let's move on to this one. Did you brush your teeth this morning? Well, some of the water that you used could have fallen from the sky yesterday, or a week, or a month ago. It's pretty new. Next page. But some part of that water is very old and was around during the time of the dinosaurs, or even longer. Or maybe it's a little newer, like from the time when the pharaohs were building pyramids. Didn't find any difficult words from this page, but from the next page I did. The word dinosaurs. So I think a lot of you have probably heard the word dinosaur, but if you've ever seen the film Jurassic Park or Jurassic World or anything like that, they are the big extinct reptiles that lived many years ago before we did, but they are no longer around. And you've got the Tyrannosaurus Rex. I don't really know many dinosaurs, but Velociraptor, pterodactyl, that kind of thing. They're all examples of dinosaurs. And just in case I'm not explaining it well enough, this here is a cartoon version of a dinosaur. So that is a cartoon version of a T-Rex actually, because of the little arms. So that is a dinosaur. They could reach enormous sizes. In this case, they are referring to the dinosaurs because they were so long ago. They were many years ago. And they're saying that some of the water that we use today could actually have been used around when the dinosaurs were on Earth. They're trying to emphasize how old water can be. And then, excuse me, we have the word pharaoh. So it says, like from the time when the pharaohs were building pyramids. So a pharaoh is a ruler in ancient Egypt. So Egypt is a country, and a pharaoh is a ruler of ancient Egypt. So many years ago, Egypt. But ancient Egypt is more recent than the dinosaurs. So that's why they're saying ancient Egypt with the pharaohs is a lot more recent than when the dinosaurs were around. And pyramids. So here is a picture of a pyramid. So it's a monumental structure. It has a square base, and then all of the sides are like sloping like this, and then they meet at the top. So you have them like that. And they were built from stone in ancient Egypt, and they were used as like a royal tomb where they'd maybe bury the pharaohs and things like that. So that's just a little drawing at the back of that picture there, just to help you visualize it a bit more. But that's what a pyramid is. Okay, next page. You see, there is only a limited amount of water, and it gets recycled. Yep, it keeps going round and round. We call it the water cycle. Yes, you have a question? No, it's not like a jet ski or a bicycle for water. It's nothing you can ride. It is how water keeps going round and round. Let me explain. So, the first page there, I saw the word limited, which might be a difficult word to grasp. So that means restricted amount. Excuse me. So it means a restricted amount. It isn't, you don't have an infinite supply. So we only have a certain amount of water, and it doesn't go on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. We have a limited amount of it, a restricted amount. We don't have water that like never ends. And recycled means that you convert waste into a usable material. So here it says, you see, there is only a limited amount of water and it gets recycled. So this means that water that's wasted or water that's used, you can make into water that can be used again. Obviously, that it goes through a process before we drink it and things like that. But that's what it means, like water that's been used or wasted in the past can then go through a process and be converted into water that we use again. Because we don't have an endless supply of water, we need to have this going so we don't run out. And then the next page with these people riding these water sports. A jet ski is so it's what this girl is riding here. It's a vehicle that skims across the surface of the water, and you'd go on it for fun. You go on it, for like a thrill and excitement because they go quite fast on the water. So that is what a jet ski is. It's just like this vehicle that skims across the top of the water, and people do it for enjoyment. Okay, next page. First, I would like to say that water is very important. Imagine an empty lake. The fish would be very unhappy. Imagine an empty ocean. Your day at the beach would be like going to a desert. And I couldn't find any words on those 2 pages, so I think I'll just move on if that's okay. So we're now here just so you can keep up. And since you are mostly made up of water, let's just say you would be a lot lighter. The water cycle has 4 parts: evaporation, condensation, precipitation, collection. Right, so if we come back to this page, lighter means that it has less waste. Sorry, no, it doesn't. Lighter means that it has less weight, not waste. Weight, I misspoke. So if you are lighter than something else, you weigh less than something else. So it's the opposite of heavier. And then the next page where it says the 4 parts of the water cycle, you have the words evaporation, condensation, precipitation, and collection. These are all very difficult words, so I will take some time to talk you through them. It's kind of going to be a little bit like a science lesson as well. So, evaporation. Evaporation is the process of turning a liquid to a gas or a vapour. So vapor just equals gas. So if you have, so I'll go back to the analogy of the kettle that I used earlier. So if you have water in a kettle and you boil it, so you're heating it up, because it has that much heat in it, it turns into a gas, it turns into a vapor. And that's what that's what evaporation is. So it goes from a liquid to a gas. Yeah? Then we have the word condensation. Condensation is the conversion of a vapor or gas to a liquid. So this is the opposite of evaporation. So evaporation, liquid to gas; condensation, gas to liquid. So if you remember earlier when I was talking about moisture, this is what I was talking about. So I was using the word condense, condensing, condensation. And this literally just means that you are going from a gas to a liquid. So if a gas gets cooled down enough, it will fall into a liquid. Yeah, that's what condensation is. Then we have the word precipitation. This is a really difficult word. It's even quite difficult to pronounce. So it's precipitation, and this is the rain, snow, sleet, or hail that falls to the ground. So just to kind of tell you a little bit about what sleet and hail are, because I think you'll know what rain and snow are. But sleet is rain. So when it rains and there's some ice in the rain, that's what sleet is. So sleet is when it rains and there's some ice in the rain. And hail is pellets of frozen rain. Pellets of ice, you could say. So sleet is rain with some ice. Hail is just frozen ice. It's like frozen water. So just to explain that. So precipitation is the snow, the rain, the sleet, and the hail that falls on the ground. And because the ground is cooler, it will condense. Do you remember condense? So going from a gas to a liquid, it will condense on the ground. And then we have the word collection. This is probably the easiest of the four words. So you just bring it together, you gather it together, you hold it. But that's not what we mean by collection, like holding it like this. We'll get to what collection means in this context. So collection, that just means to bring together, to gather together. So they're the four parts of the water cycle: evaporation, condensation, precipitation, collection. Awesome. So we are now here. Evaporation. When the water in an ocean, a lake, a pond, a river, or a stream is heated by the sun, it turns into vapor or steam. It then floats into the air. Of course, when you are out on a hot day or you exercise, you sweat. Well, guess what? That evaporates too. I don't think I found any difficult words on those 2 pages, so we'll just keep reading. What about those drops of dew on leaves or the grass? Yes, they too evaporate and become a part of the water cycle. I don't think no, I didn't. Okay, the word dew is, so that's DEW, is like bits of water on leaves and the grass. So that's all that means there. And we're here. Condensation. As the water vapour gets cooled, it changes back into a liquid and turns into clouds. I'll just stop there because the next part is going on to precipitation. So condensation there. I found the word clouds just in case you haven't come across this word before. Clouds are the white fluffy things in the sky. So if you look up and the sky's blue and you see some white fluffy things in the sky, they are clouds. And they are actually made up of the condensed watery vapour that is in the atmosphere. So the clouds are the fluffy white things you see in the sky, but they aren't actually fluffy. They just look fluffy. And the clouds are made up of the condensed watery vapour that is in the atmosphere. So here are the clouds, here are the clouds. So precipitation. When the air in the clouds cannot hold any more liquid, it falls back to the ground. It returns in different ways, depending on the temperature and where it comes from. It can fall as rain. So here in this page, I found the word temperature, and that just means how hot or cold something is. So if you're talking about heat, if you're talking about cold, hot, warm, they're different temperatures, and it can be measured in degrees Celsius, degrees Fahrenheit. If you watch the news, if you watch the weather reports, and you see little numbers on the map, that is the temperature. Usually it's not very warm here in the UK, but yeah, that's what we mean by temperature, that how hot or cold something is. Next page. Or it can fall as snow. Did you know that no two snowflakes are the same? It can return as sleet, which is like rain that has almost frozen. Okay, so snowflakes, so one snowflake is one piece of snow. And that's what a snowflake is, but they're usually drawn as like fluffy or feathery, or a little bit like a star, maybe. That's how they're usually drawn or depicted in books, things like that. But a snowflake is just one little piece of snow. And so this book is saying that no two snowflakes are the same. All snowflakes are absolutely different from each other. There are no two snowflakes look the same. They're all different. Okay, so now we are here. Or it can come as hail. Those frozen balls of rain that can actually break windows and dent cars. Collection. No matter how it comes down, it is collected and stored. It can fall into the ocean, lake, pond, river, or stream. If it lands on the ground, it may roll into a river or be sucked up by the soil. It may even pass through the ground to an underground lake or river to be used later. And I couldn't find any words that jumped out at me as difficult there, so I'll move on. Now, what happens tomorrow when the sun comes out? That's right, the water cycle starts over again. Oops, the sun is out, but don't worry, Professor Moisture will return. After all, I am part of the water cycle. Evaporation, condensation, precipitation, collection. So, like I said at the beginning, it isn't really a story. It's more of like a fact book about, the water cycle, about the science behind it in a little way. I thought it'd be something different, but I do still have some questions just to check your understanding. So, what is the term used to describe the recycling of water? So when it goes round and round and round, what is that term used as? It mentions it a few times in the book, even on the very last page. I'll give you a bit of time to look for that answer. Right, so what is the term used to describe the recycling of water, this process of it going round and round, this process that the water goes through? And it's called the water cycle. So it says it a few times in the book. So it's this water cycle of water being recycled and then used again, and then it comes back and it gets, it's that cycle of that water goes through. Because remember, we said quite early on in the book that water can be from many, 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 many years ago that we are using today. And that means it has to have been through a cycle, and that is the water cycle. It must have been through some kind of process to get to the water that we use today, and it's the water cycle. Number 2, what are the 4 parts of the water cycle? What are the 4 parts of the water cycle? And I'll find the page so I can show you it once you've had a bit of time. What are the 4 parts of the water cycle? What are the 4 parts of the water cycle? Okay, I'll show you the page. But it also says it on the very last page as well, if that'll be easy for you to find. So the 4 parts are evaporation, condensation, precipitation, and collection. Evaporation, condensation, precipitation, and collection. They are the 4 parts of the water cycle. Number 3, where can water be collected? So that 4th part there, that last part of the water cycle, collection, if you jump to that part of the book where it talks about collection, you can find the answer for this. So where can water be collected? Where can water be collected? So if you just want to jump to the part where it's talking about the collection of water, the last part in this water cycle. Okay, so we're talking about this page here. Have you found it? So, where can water be collected? Oceans, lakes, ponds, rivers, streams. So these bodies of water, these areas of water are where water can be collected. So water can be collected in the ocean, it can be collected in lakes, it can be collected in ponds, it can be collected in rivers, it can be collected in streams. And these are massive, well, not all of them are massive ponds, you can have little ponds, but these are areas of water that collect droplets of water if it falls as rain, sleet, snow and hail. That is how the water is collected, and it is collected in oceans, lakes, ponds, rivers and streams. Awesome. That's the end. Thank you for keeping up with me, because this was a really, really difficult read. I understand that, because it's not just a story that you can kind of follow. This was difficult because it's something that you have to kind of understand to go further in the book. So I'm sorry if I've made that a bit difficult for some of you viewers. I just thought I'd change it up a little bit this week. I hope it's been somewhat helpful. So I think that's everything. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all doing okay. I miss seeing you all. So I wish you all well, and I really appreciate you watching this video. And we will be back next week with another story, another book. Take care, and bye.